following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to The People's View, a program dedicated to discussing local, state, and national issues and their effect on the American people. The People's View provides a platform for state representatives and national figures to present their viewpoint. Whether it's social, economic, or financial topics, you'll hear it on The People's View.
Hello, this is Carl Seidel. I'm here with Kevin Avard, and this is The People's View. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to talk about a meeting that we attended on the 15th of August. And the meeting was the Citizens Against Government Abuse. And people, this is very serious. This is not a phony incident. This is something that is happening and is still happening by our government. And Kevin, how would you like to start off something like this? I mean, we heard something last night from a number of people that testified at the Congress about what's happening to them by the IRS, and it's still happening.
It's still happening. I don't know if you're a news junkie. I'm a news junkie, and when the hearings were going on, I was watching the IRS, the officials being interviewed, and then some of the victims. Mm-hmm. And I guess she goes by the handle of Radio Becky. She was one of the featured ones where she just said, you know, the government is just getting out of line. You're out of control. They were asking questions like, what are you praying? Who's on your list? What do you do? Who do they associate with?
And what kind of political talk are they doing? Are they running for office? This is the surprising thing. After delaying their application,
right.
The application normally for, was it a 501c4, takes maybe 3 or 4 months.
Right. She said 90 days or something to that effect, and
yeah.
2.5 years later,
they get a list of questions, 90 questions, and some of which you just alluded to. But these were very inappropriate, number one. Number two, it's against their own rules.
It's against their own rules, and the buzzword, the chilling effect, really took place because a number of the people on the panel were talking how that, hey, I really agree with what you're doing, but I don't want to get audited. And I just find that to be, you know, I'm sorry to say extremist, but it's Nazi-like tactics. And if you're afraid to speak up because the government is going to come after you and audit you, Senator Humphrey was there.
Yeah.
Senator Humphrey had a photo where he went to a meeting, and there was a picture of a toilet, and it said, you know, the IRS working for you. And somebody said, you know, Senator, you're going to get audited because of that. Sure enough, 2 years later, he gets audited. And I guess he spent, I don't know exactly how much money he said he spent, only to find out
they didn't know anything.
No.
I mean, it's just like this other person that was on the government panel spent $80,000 for lawyers and accountants to be able to correct them, and they found nothing.
Right.
But what started it all? I mean, you can go back, and this people, again, they're trying to brush over it, that 6 senators sent a letter to the IRS about auditing some of these groups that were trying to get the C4 application through. And then what happened is, you know, after those senators wrote it, a second letter by our own Senator Shaheen was sent to the IRS, again, requesting that IRS looks into these applications a little bit more thoroughly. It was then that these people said that they started getting these questions. You know, they weren't, instead of just delaying everything, which was going on, people were there over a year waiting to hear back from the IRS, and then they get this big list of questions.
Right, and you hear a lot of the senators and congressmen saying, you know, what's going on here? We want more transparency. And I think one of the telling things, and, you know, sorry, we're going to tell you the truth here. Senator Shaheen received at least $5,000 from the IRS union. This is not a political attack here for the sake of being a political attack. I just want to make that very clear.
This was a fact that was brought up last night.
It was a fact that was brought up last night. And another fact that was brought up last night was that one of the panel people was a dyed in the red or dyed in the blue Democrat.
Yeah.
Worked on Kennedy's campaign, strong union person. You remember the story, and he said, you know, actually his credentials on being a Democrat was, he really wanted to make that very clear. And he got attacked because he started voicing his opinion about government abuse. All of a sudden, now he's getting audited. And after $80,000, he was exonerated. I think I have my facts. We have the film. But I think the bottom line is when your own senator, who, you know, she's our senator too, even if we're Republicans, she belongs to us and she represents us. If we speak up all of a sudden because we're part of a Tea Party or you're a conservative or you voted for a Republican, you're going to be potentially on the list.
Well, it's a program of demonizing their opponents.
Right.
That's what happens. And Tea Party is the big one now, but there are several other groups that are, and none of them are really like what they're pictured to be. And unfortunately, most of the media have picked up those things and use it indiscriminately, I think.
Right.
This is not a phony situation. There's just too many examples. You know, they do things and you trust the government to do it right. I mean, I heard some more about all this phone calls and stuff that they're tracing and things. Now, they're actually listening. Today was on today's radio that the audit group found out there were several hundred phone conversations that were listened to just from the audit. And that's only an audit, which means that's only a selected number of examples that they track back. So it's getting, well, if you can't trust your government to do it right, or the way they're saying, they aren't transparent, and then you wonder how much you don't know about.
And that's the point. And another thing, I think, you know, the First Amendment says that we have the right for free speech, freedom to assemble, and a right to petition your government. But if you're in fear of being audited or punished because of exercising that very liberty, why do we have it in the first place? And I think they've executed perfectly a bullying against American citizens. And this is for both Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, agnostics, you name it. If you voice your opinion against this administration or anybody in the administration, you stand in jeopardy. And that's not America. We're not supposed to be afraid of our government. The government is supposed to be afraid of the people. They're supposed to be accountable to this. And you know, that's one of the things that, you know, we push a lot in the last few years is a government accountability. And yet they come out and say, oh yeah, we're all for transparency. But when you put you know, them under the microscope, it doesn't add up. And we're not, you know, this is, like you said, it's a real issue. It's a real problem. And if it goes unchecked, you know, the next president isn't going to fix this. That was one of the facts that was brought up last night. People have to start voicing their objection to this. Well, you know, Hillary's going to do it, or the next, or Rand Paul, or whoever comes in, they're going to fix it all. No, we the people have to fix it.
We have to demand this kind of a responsibility, this kind of transparency from everything.
Right.
I mean, they don't talk about Benghazi. They talk about investigations, how long does it take to do an investigation. They don't report back. It's still under investigation. How about that helicopter that went down with the
SEAL 16?
We haven't heard anything. It's still under investigation. You know, everything's under investigation, and it never comes out. People don't get fired. They get shifted. Some of the people that are, well, the one that took the Fifth Amendment is still being considered for another important job that doesn't require Senate approval.
It's becoming alarming. On a local level, I think the bureaucrats know that they don't really have to listen to the legislature because 2 years, there's going to be a new legislature. What we'll do is we'll stall. It happens on a local level. It happens on the federal level. Well, if we just stall it, put it under investigation, black out all the pertinent information so you have to come and request it again, we'll slow it down. After a while, America, you're going to forget because you're not paying attention. In the meantime, all your rights are being taken away. Your liberties are being taken away, and somebody's looking at you. I was never a conspiracy guy, but something's going on. All right, you got to have blinders to think.
I mean, you can't tack it up to incompetence. There's somebody's planning all this stuff.
There has to be.
And there's some kind of unspoken. Well, the other thing too bothers me is some of these people have emails that are private emails that they're conducting government business on.
Yep.
That shouldn't happen. That's a no-no right from the start. I mean, unfortunately, when you're a public figure, all your information. Well, when we were reps, you know, our emails were public. We couldn't.
Yeah. I don't know if some reps realize that. I don't know. But the bottom line is transparency, and they have to be accountable. You know, the IRS is this whole Obama thing, where he's now going to the Obamacare. He's now going to suspend the rules or something, and he's going to, by executive order, change a law. That's not allowed under your Constitution. You have a Congress. People may be mad at the Congress. People may be mad at the Senate or at the House. But listen, you are the people. They are your representatives. If you get mad at them and dish them and just depend on one person, your voice has been taken away. You have to call your senators. You have to call your representatives because they're your voice. If the president says, well, I don't care, I'm going to do what I want, you have tyranny. We've been saying this for a long time, and it's happening. But people are, oh, you're putting on your blinders.
Well, they can't believe that this is really happening. You know, they don't think that anybody would try to do something like that.
It's audacious enough for them to do it. And
power corrupts, unfortunately, and you know, you have to have somebody to check. Was it FISA court that checks all those supposed tappings and stuff?
And who checks them?
Yeah, nobody. The auditing is that only one. I think one incident has ever been a little bit fuzzy. You know, whether it should have been approved or not. And I can't believe that you know, they don't try to get that.
Out of thousands. The NSA's today on one of the major news networks, they're talking about thousands of abuses. Well, some slipped through the cracks. Sorry, not thousands. One, maybe two, sure, not thousands.
And I'm not sure how much of that is really good. All the money they spent putting together that surveillance equipment and everything might have been better putting more men in the field to do this, the investigations or something like that.
One of the things about the Benghazi thing that just keeps really aching in my heart, you know, the people that go into battle, they have been sold an idea that we're not going to leave you behind. When that thing happened, nobody had the courage to say it wasn't a YouTube video. They actually went and arrested somebody so that they could be the fall guy. To me, that is gross, it's corrupt just in itself, because the more and more information that's coming out, they knew it was an attack. They knew that there were missiles. There were missiles that were going to be sold. There were missiles that were there in the attack. They called for help. It does matter, Hillary. It does. When people are crying out for the help of the United States, if you travel across the seas and you get abducted, you want to know that Senator Kerry
somebody's backing
is going to be there. Yeah. And hey, look, we're not going to leave you behind. They left our people behind. My son's in the military. When he was in Afghanistan, I couldn't breathe until he got home. To think if something happened to him while he was over there, and the administration left him behind, I'd be a basket case. I'd be a basket. And I think a lot of people realize it, and that if the government can look at you in the face and lie to you without grimacing, it's time to change.
I think something has to, you know, cover that transparency. I don't know whether it's more auditing or what. I hate to tie it up in bureaucracy. I wish, you know, we could punish some people so they know it's wrong. And then maybe other people would be a little bit more hesitant to do something like that.
I think some of it boils down to leadership. You know, they're career politicians. I'm not going to name names right now, but other than Speaker Bonner.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get up there with some conviction and start, you know, drilling. I remember Tip O'Neill. That guy had no fear. A Democrat, he had no fear. And at the end of the day, he could talk with the president, President Reagan, and they, you know, they were butt heads, but he got stuff done. It was Gingrich under Clinton. They butted heads. Clinton had a really good second term because the Republicans saved his butt financially. But they worked together. You know, I don't see any of that happening in our with the president and the speaker at this point. I got to hear more from the Speaker Bonner because he's got to kick some butt and get some committees moved out.
Yeah, with all these things happening, you know, you can't say, you have to be very definitive in some of your legislation because otherwise you can't just believe that they're going to take care of it properly anymore.
Right.
It has to be written down. And none of these 70,000-page laws or whatever it is, you have to have, you know, precise wording in there and take it a step at a time. You don't have to do all at once. I can't believe that kills a bill. All those people really, I think, their objective is to kill the bill in the beginning, so they put too much stuff in it.
I don't know if there's a rumor out right now. I think it was Mark Levin. He's actually got he put out a book. I don't know if it's The Grinding Down of America or if it's something like that. I know somebody's quoted something about that, but he's actually talking really earnestly about the states getting together to have not a convention, but I don't know, where they amend the Constitution.
Yeah, to put an amendment in to restrict certain things.
Right, to restrict certain things and to balance the budget. Folks, we're at $17 trillion. We're broke. We have no business giving money to a lot of these other countries, especially when, you know, Hurricane Sandy or, you know, the natural disasters that are happening here in America. Let's take care of home. We can't be buying friendship with people who don't like us anyway. They're hell-bent on killing us. Stop it. You know, the money that went to Egypt. You know, this is local access. You know, we're not the big boys, you know, with all the correspondence. But, you know, if you're watching, we're hated on both sides now. Let's take back our money. Let's let them figure it out and take care of home.
Well, I'm not sure how we're going to get into that, but I did want to mention the fact that we're looking at this broadly. We think this meeting that was held with the people that were testifying, from Congress, we're going to try to put something together from that meeting to show our audience exactly what we're talking about here, from the people's voice themselves that are involved with it. From Senator Humphrey, who has done a lot, a real class politician from New Hampshire, how he feels about it. And it's starting to get more serious, people. Look into it. Don't take everything you read in the paper or even hear on the TV, but try to find out a little bit more. That's all these organizations were trying to do. They were trying to get the word out, trying to follow up on things that weren't being followed up on, that people, you know, try to get the voter to forget about.
Right, distraction.
Right,
you know, over here, these people can create a headline in a heartbeat, and you'll totally forget that, oh, this is still going on.
That's right.
And it could be a comment, it could be something outrageous, and it'll be a little trial balloon. Master politicians, but we have to, as Americans,
hold our local people, and whenever any of the state senators or the House of Representatives, federal ones come around, ask them their questions. And if they don't have any answers, you know, tell them to get back to you.
Right.
Something like that.
And they will listen, but you have to call. You know, when I was a state rep, I had people actually calling. I prefer to talk to you. You know, emails are one thing, but I did prefer.
Well, for the state rep, it's a little bit easier. You know, we have, what, something like 9,000 voters per rep, ward, or whatever it is that you're elected to. So it's a little bit easier. But you got, the people that have the whole state, they have to be held accountable too. And we got a lot of things going on. I mean, there's a lot of, no legislation's passed the Senate in how many years?
It's amazing.
I mean, they got this immigration thing, but that's questionable too. That thing is loaded with pork.
Well, the Senate hasn't even passed a budget, have they?
No, they've got just a continuing resolution. For 4 years, continuing resolutions.
If they're doing a bad job, let's just forget the party name right now. Just fire them and start all over again. Get some fresh people in there. Let's get some people who put their hands to the plows. Let's get some people who actually run a storefront. So that they're not a millionaire. Get them in the office. They know what it's like to struggle. They know what it's like, the heartbeat. These people that have been, I'm not going to attack attorneys, but we have enough, okay? I know there's another attorney running, but I like him. However, we have enough. We need real people in the office to represent us. We need people that have worked the factory. We need people that have run businesses like yourself, that know what it's like to have to do a payroll, that struggle with the advertising, that struggles with the hiring and the firing, that live a real American life to represent you. Let's clean house. You were going to mention something.
I was going to mention this company, this We the People, that has an agenda, the grinding down of America. This is the grinding down that we're talking about, grinding the people to forget about some of these things. So you don't, you try to get rid of all these incidences that are not phony. And this mission is free. It's on September 17th in Londonderry at the Brani building. So it's open to the public. It's another one of these groups that just wants to keep these issues fresh in the mind of our public.
Right, and it doesn't, they're free. You go in and you eat the meat, throw out the bones. That's what my professors used to say. Take what's good and use it and be informed. I think more than ever, with all the information that's out there, you need to get involved. You need to get informed as what's happening, because once this Obama thing goes through completely, they're stalling it for a reason. They're stalling it because they don't want the effects to happen before the election. They didn't want the effects of Benghazi to happen before the election. All these issues, they didn't want to be noticed before the election. And then after the election, they're not accountable anymore. You can't allow this to happen. Hold every one of us accountable. And I think we'll have a better America for that.
And as you know, this program is sponsored by the Nashua Republican City Committee. We try to hold speakers at our meetings that are the second Thursday of every month. Starting in September, we'll have guest speakers who'll talk about some of these issues. Some will be local politicians, some will be national figures. And listen to some of the shows that, try to be a little bit more informed. Try to get familiar with some of the different organizations. If you have a particular issue, try to find some organization that will help you, look into it and get the answers that you need.
Right. Every one of us are affected by government at some point, in some level. Whether you're a senior who's struggling to pay that grocery bill, that grocery bill's not going down, or your oil, or your gas, or your registration, or all these little fees that they affect you. Certain laws that affect your children, whether it's family court, whether it's registering your car. Government affects you, and if you're not going to get involved, you have no right to complain. And these are places, that everybody's welcome. It's not just Republicans.
That's right.
Anybody can come to these and voice their opinion. So we're trying to help. We're trying to be active. Get involved with your local TV station as well. We're here for you. So
now there are different things that hopefully they're publicized in the paper. Senator Cruz is going to be out at Monadnock
oh, really?
next week.
Oh.
Friday or Saturday. Look in the paper about something like that. The Republican, National Republican Group is sponsoring Colonel West.
West.
On the 16th of this month. So you know, we try to get people out there that have been willing to talk about these issues, who are willing to do something different. They're
Right.
offering a different solution.
By the way, just a little plug for Andrew Hemingway. He actually put this event on at the
Yes.
Manchester Country Club, and last night with the against government abuse. Well done. It was well attended, and we wanted to thank him for bringing this bipartisan group of people. I think.
Well, Andrew's head of the Americans for Prosperity for New England or something like that, I think he's the title now. But anyway, it's another group that tries to get to some of these issues out there and tries to get information out that is really, you know, being covered up by the government.
Yeah, I think you said it well. Covered up, and it needs to be uncovered.
And, well, we hope to be able to bring more information to you with our show. Kevin also has a show called Speak Up with some other issues that come out with people feel very strongly about. And now you're also head of a redress group.
Yeah, we have the Center for Redress of Grievances, and since this administration killed the committee, we felt that
This is a state organization.
Yeah, well, we have the Center for Redress,
Right.
So people can at least still be heard, and we want them to have the ability to, when they feel like all hope is lost, there is another place to go, that somebody will listen, document your story, get it out there for public to see. And it's just helping you exercise your First Amendment rights.
Yeah, so we don't want this to happen in the state like it's happening in the federal government. We want to have a venue where we can bring up these issues and get them heard actually by the legislature. What you were alluding to
Right.
is the fact that in the last 2 years, we had a committee that looked over these things. Now the committee no longer exists in the legislature.
You know, Carl, one of the things that I'm discovering, we had a lot of family court issues, and we got barraged with that. We had other issues as well. We had the EMTs, we had the Attorney Generals with the FRM and Jeff Frost. Our committee spent more time examining some of these court cases than the judges themselves. And it's not just a New Hampshire issue. We're finding that this is a global issue where this parental alienation thing happens so much. And we're not trying to really fault the courts. They really don't have enough time. Some of the judges can only look at some of these cases for 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, lives are devastated. And it took us, in some of the cases, 6 months just to look at all the documentation. This order, they contradict each other. Meanwhile, I'm being convicted of this, and I've never committed a crime, and my child is over here. And people are frustrated, and they're hurt, and they just needed a place to go because nobody else was listening. And then,
They took that away.
And they took that away. It wasn't a Republican committee. It was for the people.
Yeah.
And when people's civil rights are being violated, when their constitutional rights are being violated, if they feel as though they're being shut out, bad things happen. They need to have a voice. They need to be able to speak up and be heard. And that's what they're
Yeah, I think that's a good, because when you're fighting the government, you're fighting, a giant. They have financial resources and other kinds of resources that you'll never have.
right. And they can beat you down to attrition. If they don't like you, and literally, if they don't like you, and they don't want to apply by the laws, and nobody's going to enforce them to abide by the rules or by the laws, then they have unchallenged power, and they can make your life miserable. And they've done it in a number of cases. And of course, what happens is, instead of them disciplining, people get moved on into different parts of the government, and you can't follow that trail. And that part's not a conspiracy. I just think that right there is the nature of government. When it gets so big, well, you did a bad thing over here. Listen, don't do it again. Suspended pay. You're going to be doing this over here from now on. No paper trail. Just move you along. Meanwhile, the people that suffered under that abuse are struggling, and they don't know where to turn. If an attorney won't take your case, Who do you go to? Legislator. Oh, they got rid of the committee.
Yeah. No, there has to be that out, and I hope we're able to get that back. I hope we're able to turn around the election so that we have a little bit more control, so things like this can be rerun. We run, you know, and this is, I guess, one thing that bothers me when they demonize the Tea Party. The Tea Party really has three things that they want to do. They want low taxes, they want personal responsibility, and small government. And I think we all want something like that to be able to, we don't want some large body that's going to take care of everything for us. We should be taking care of a lot of that ourselves.
It was Senator Humphrey made that statement that we're on the doorstep to a police state. I really believe that. I mean, I kind of like watching some of the sci-fi things, and I was just watching one the other day where they had these drones going up and down the streets and looking through the house. And it was really kind of sci-fi, but it's not really far-fetched. You know, I don't want the government just peering over every move that I make. This is supposed to be the land of the free. You know, freedom of expression. You don't want Big Brother looking up at you. Oh, you're walking a little too fast with your cell phone on the sidewalk. Well, welcome to New York.
And you can't drink a 28-ounce soda.
Right. Exactly. But you can have 2 16 ounces. Whatever. It's getting ridiculous.
Hopefully we'll see some changes made. We are going to try to put together another program with some of these examples, a little bit more explicit and a little bit more detailed. But please continue listening in to The People's View, sponsored by the Nashua Republican City Committee. We meet every second Thursday of the month at the Crown Plaza. So please tune in and look at our website at nashuagop.org. Thank you very much for tuning in.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.